This is Super Yacht News in association with Go Earth Boating, navigating boat buyers to better deals. Hi all, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a story here about a fire on a yacht in Italy. This is from the end of last week. It was a 27-meter yacht named Principessa Matera. This was in Savona region of Italy, or near the late Thursday afternoon. The fire burned through the yacht, enveloping the entire vessel in flames. The firefighters, coordinating with the Italian Coast Guard, attended the scene after the alarm was received around 1400 hours local time on the 6th of November. And the Italian National Fire Department fought the blaze for a number of hours as thick black smoke rose from the burning wreck and was seen from miles away, as you can see in these photographs here supplied by the Italian Fire Department. There were 3 people on board the yacht. They were all rescued by the search and rescue teams. One boat was dispatched from Genoa and the other boat from the Savona region. Now, there's currently no further information on what the cause of the fire was or the condition of those 3 people who were rescued from the vessel. Now, also, we weren't able to find any photographs of the yacht before the fire. As you can see in the photographs, the vessel is completely destroyed. But it is a Leopard 27 series yacht, similar to the pictures shown here. Although these are not pictures of that vessel, these are just representative of the kind of vessel it was before the fire. Very high speed vessels can get like 35 knots. So yeah, that's what it was. Like I said, we'll bring you more on that story when we have it. So we'll move on to the next story. Now, you'll know if you watch the channel regularly that we often do updates on Motor Yacht Nord. We tell you about movements, and mainly because the vessel is often seen with AIS switched off, and it's sailing around, usually around the Maldives, which the owner most likely likes to go there because he sends his yacht there every year around the same time. Alexei Mordozhov I'm talking about, he's the owner of that vessel. He also owns Lady M, which is currently seized in Italy, in Imperia in Italy. So we've been doing stories on it ever since 2022. The vessel was in the Seychelles, I believe, and if memory serves, and the vessel went dark and headed to Vladivostok. Now, after it arrived in Vladivostok, it was because it was removed from the Cayman Islands flag. It re-registered in Russia. It's actually its home port now is Vladivostok, and it now flies a Russian flag. And the vessel's been sailing around. It went to Hong Kong in 2022 or 23. I think it was 23. Caused a big hoo-ha when it said it was going to sail to South Africa, and then it didn't end up going there. Went to the Maldives after going dark, switching off at AIS. But we had people who watched the channel who spotted the yacht in the Maldives and sent us videos and photos and stuff like that. And every time people see the vessel out there in the Maldives, people send us photos and stuff. Now, the Maldives, by the way, is a self-governing set of islands, but it's actually part of the British Commonwealth. So I don't know whether the people who are connected with the yacht know that. So sailing around there with a Russian flag might not be so popular. But anyway, the reason why I've brought it up today is because last week, we had a letter. Well, an email. Nobody sends letters anymore. And we had a letter from somebody who proclaims to be connected to the yacht. And I'm going to read it to you now. So it says, "Dear sir, you don't know me and I don't know you. I do not profess to have the knowledge you have about the yachting industry, but I do know more than you will ever know about Nord. For some reason, you seem to have a fixation regarding Nord and her AIS. You recently reported that Nord was on her way to the Maldives, as stated in her AIS, and then today you have reported that she was spotted in Ra Atoll without her AIS being on. Have you ever stopped to think why she turns off or stops her AIS from transmitting? It's down to people like you. Can you imagine being a crew member on Nord who suffers abuse from passing boats or has things like eggs thrown at the yacht after they have just washed her down? She's a very large yacht to wash. It's people like you who bring attention to the location of the yacht, thus facilitating these actions just for clicks on your channel. To be honest, no one cares about sanctioned superyachts anymore. It was a cool news story a few years ago. The US government has closed a klepto capture division because they don't care anymore. No government is interested in detaining any other Russian superyachts. These have become financial millstones around their necks, with all expenses paid for by the taxpayers. I think the Italians have had it worse. So please be kind and stop vlogging about Nord. No one is interested, and the crew will thank you if the abuse stops. Some interesting things in there. Now, one of the things you're probably thinking is who would send this email. I talked about it with our members over the weekend. I said that I believe that somebody on board who would send this, the only person really who would send this on board would be the captain. Nobody else would feel entitled enough to feel like they could just take it upon themselves, like a deckhand or something would take it upon themselves to send an email like this, knowing that, you know, if it comes out, i.e. on our channel, that they're going to be doing a big sweep of who's sending emails on behalf of the vessels. So if it's somebody on board, it's most likely from the captain or somebody who has permission from the captain to send that email, right? Or it could be from somebody like owner's representative. So on the bigger yachts like this, sometimes they have an owner's representative, somebody who has the ear of the owner. The owner will tell the rep, you know, I want to go to this place, I want the yacht to be here. And then he will communicate with the captain and tell them where the vessel needs to be. If there's a big bill, the captain needs to pay some money. He'll go to the owner's rep and say, look, I need to pay this bill. And then the owner's rep will say, okay, I'll check with the boss and then come back. That kind of thing. So I would say it's probably one of those people. Now, we've had reports that, well, certainly before the invasion of Ukraine, most of the crew on board Nord were Western, i.e. British, South African, New Zealand, whatever. Now, since the war started, when it actually started, they actually gave all the crew, they actually said to all the crew, you know, you can stay if you want, or you can leave now and we'll fly you home. And then some crew left, some crew stayed, and then that's before they went to Vladivostok. They offloaded a lot of people in the Seychelles. I think it was the Seychelles, either the Seychelles or the Maldives. I believe it was the Seychelles. I'll have to go back to my old videos to check. Motor Yacht Nord. Now, we've been talking about Motor Yacht Nord in previous videos. I talked about some stuff happening with the crew. I've got more information now. So they have been in the Seychelles, cruising around those islands there. From what we've been told, is that a lot of the crew on board are still British and other Western countries, which is interesting, isn't it, considering who the owner is. So let me tell you a little bit about a company called Sevestal. It's the biggest steel supplier in Russia, and they supply more than 10 grades of steel to Russian defense industry enterprises. In particular, armored steels for defense purposes. They're used in the production of armored personal carriers. In addition, steel is going to the construction of the Russian Navy, supplying steel to Sevmash plant, the Yantar plant, and the Admiralty shipyards. I'll give you an example of what they build there. The Yantar plant has built frigates like the Admiral Makarov, the Admiral Grigorievich, and the Admiral Essen. These are all Russian warships, and they carry caliber missiles, and which are used to bombard Ukraine. Now, the list doesn't end there. Assault rifles, machine guns, grenade launchers, other light weapons can be made from steel from that plant, from the Sevastopol plant, right? Now, I'll put a list on screen as I'm talking here of all of the weapons that are made from the steel that comes from that plant. If you're watching the person who sent me this email, the reason we have a fixation, as you put it, on Motor Yacht Nord is because in 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the European Union sanctioned Sevastopol's majority shareholder, Alexei Mordozhov, who's the owner of Nord. 28th of February 2022, he was sanctioned, and this forced the company to cease its steel shipments to Europe. Now, in 2023, Sevastopol was included in the sanctions list of Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, United States, and according to British authorities, the company is and has been obtaining a benefit from supporting the government of Russia by carrying on business in a sector of strategic significance, namely the Russian extractives sector, and PGSC Sevastopol is owned or controlled directly or indirectly by a person involved in obtaining a benefit from or supporting the government of Russia, namely Alexei Mordashov. That's from the UK government. According to the Australian authorities, measures against Sevastopol and other sanctioned companies aim to slow Russia's war machine. Mordashov is sanctioned, like I said in there, but there's more. EU, Ukraine, Canada, Switzerland, Australia, Japan, and New Zealand. So of all the people I look at who are on the sanctions list, he seems to have more sanctions from more countries than anybody else. So he's tight with Vladimir Putin. He was given the Order of Merit for his work after the war started. When a German writer was writing a biography about Vladimir Putin, Mordashov, through a series of companies, paid that man 600,000 euros. For what reason might that be? You may wonder. Obviously he wants a flattering book to be written. That is some of the reasons why we have a fixation on Motor Nord and her movements. Everybody who works on board Motor Nord, everybody who works for that vessel, whether it be directly or indirectly, i.e. through management companies or owners' representatives, they're all getting paid with money that's been made from the war in Ukraine. Right? So there's a few reasons for you why we have a fixation on Motor Nord. Now, if we just look at Nord itself, the vessel's been regularly sailing around with the AIS switched off, which is designed as an anti-collision system, just like the planes have. So they're making it dangerous for other vessels by sailing with the AIS switched off. Clearly, they feel that there's a threat to that vessel from Western authorities, hence them switching it off. It's not because they're worried about people with eggs. That's ridiculous. Also, even if people are throwing eggs at your vessel, which I find very hard to believe, to be honest, because how close do you have to be to a yacht to be able to throw an egg without breaking it and throw it at that yacht? You've got to be pretty close. And it could be worse. It could be drones with bombs on it. It could be other things. And I'm not saying that should be happening. What I'm saying is it could be worse for your people, because look what's happening in Ukraine right now. They're not getting eggs thrown at them. They're getting missiles thrown at them, bombs, and you're getting shot at with weapons and all that kind of stuff, which is made from steel from the owner of Nord's company. There's a lot of reasons why we have a fixation on Motor Nord. Also, if the vessel is still crewed by mainly Western people, the Russian flag state regulations state that the captain and the chief engineer of a Russian flag vessel must be from Russia. So if they're not, then there's another law that they're breaking. Although, I don't suspect that the Russian authorities will be getting onto that vessel because he's a buddy of Vladimir Putin. So, yeah. But, there's a lot of reasons why we have a fixation on Motor Nord. But, maybe if you stopped switching off AIS and endangering other ships, maybe we might not mention it so much. But it's still unlikely because, like I said, he is directly responsible for a part of the Russian war effort. So there you go. All right, guys, we'll move on. I've got a video here, which is really interesting. I found this on Instagram today. A video of a life raft drill. Now, we always talk about inflatable life rafts. We don't really have much opportunities to show you a drill that's happening. This was on a ferry I think it was in New Zealand, actually. And people just happened to be on board, and they conducted this drill. So you can see the inflatable life raft being on this, like, it looks like a depth charger thing that they had on the ships in World War II, but it just rolls off the side and it falls all the way into the water. And you can see there's a line attached to that. It's still closed, the canister, and there's a line attached to it. That's called the painter line. Now, what they've done, they've obviously got this deployed, this inflatable thing where the people on board the ferry would slide down to get to the water level. They passed that painter line onto them, and then they've secured the canisters to the side of that, and now they're going to pull that painter line, and it inflates and it opens that inflatable life raft up. Now that's a massive inflatable life raft. I think it's a 150-man inflatable life raft. So it takes a while to open up and inflate. It's got a massive gas canister underneath it, and then it inflates. And then from there, they can really quickly get a lot of people off, and they can slide down that chute and then jump into the life raft. So really interesting to see that in action. Not very often you get to see that. All right, I got one more thing before I go. When we were searching for this fire today with this yacht, the Principessa Matera, we weren't able to find that yacht on AIS, by the way. But we were looking in the area, in the Savona area, and one of the yachts that I clicked on, or one of the vessels I clicked on, should I say, look at the name of this yacht. Oh, sorry, vessel. It's the Millennium Falcon. It's spotted near Savona in Italy. I just thought that was so cool, and I thought I have to make a little piece about this. And the great thing about it is it's a cargo barge. So it's, it's just like the actual Millennium Falcon was a freighter, right? Now it's registered in Romania, interestingly, and then when I looked into it a little bit, I was quite shocked to see that its destination, it's actually classed as an inland cargo barge, but its destination is in Constanta in Romania. That's in the Black Sea. So I actually looked that the vessel, if it's indeed headed to Constanta, it has to head through about 5 different seas. We got the Tyrrhenian Sea, Ionian Sea, the Aegean Sea, Dardanelles, the Marmara Sea, and then eventually the Black Sea. So that's quite a trip, isn't it? If it does that trip, it's 1,400 nautical miles, which is almost 2,700 kilometers. So that is quite incredible. But I thought it was so cool to see that there was a cargo vessel called the Millennium Falcon. Now, how long would it take to get there? I think a little more than 12 parsecs. So you either know what I'm talking about there or you don't. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm sure you've got some comments about the Nord story there. It'll be interesting to see if we get any more emails. Like that person who wrote to us, like I said, it could be the captain, it could be owner's rep, it could be a crackpot sitting in his basement for all I know, but he seemed to have some information about that yacht. So yeah, but interesting to see if we get any more, but yeah, time will tell. Be sure to join us on patreon.com/assistman or on YouTube members for our extras. We do videos. I did one on Sunday, which was about this story that we just did today, but I did it on Sunday. And you can see other behind-the-scenes stuff, the Atlantic vlog series that we've got on there as well. So be sure to check us out, patreon.com/assistman or YouTube members. If you've got any information for us, send it to the email address in the ticker. If you've got photos or videos of yachts, you can send it to the link, which are also below in the description as well. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.